Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. We are taking a break from the pond content today because if you saw in the last video, we had an absolute gully washer the last 2 days. Put down 3.5 inches of rain in 2 days, 3 inches of that coming in 1 day. And so all of our material here that we need to work with to start dressing up the edges of the pond is just too wet to get the bulldozer into. And because we got all that rain, it created another problem that we need to address today while we're waiting for all this material to dry out. So that 3 inches of rain washed our driveway out yet again. You guys have seen we've been fighting with this for years, and I'm convinced that there's really no permanent fix for, a storm that puts down 2 inches of rain in 45 minutes. It's just going to carve out a gravel driveway that's on a hill. But I do think that we could still, there's room for improvement here. We could manage this better. As you can see, we've got, oh man, probably 12, 16-inch ruts on the side of the driveway here. We've come in here with the land plane and box blade with the hydraulic top and tilt kit on the LS tractor, and we've established a crown on both sides to keep the water ditching on both sides, which you can see all the way up there, all the way down here has worked. But what happens is as that water starts to slow down once it gets off the hill, it starts to deposit the rocks that it was carrying with it, essentially damming itself and not allowing that water to continue off to the side. And so then once it does that, it's got to find a new place to go, and you can see that's about where it starts crossing the driveway here. And this is really where the driveway is the roughest. Up there is not bad. I mean, you wouldn't want to get a tire off into one of those ditches, but right in through here is pretty rough. So what I want to do is establish some larger, more permanent ditches on the driveway to give that water a permanent place to go. And I think we've got the perfect tool for the job finally to take care of this project. This has been something that I have wanted ever since I got the excavator, and that is a hydraulic tilt bucket. This tilt bucket is from Mongo Attachments. They are a small US-based company from Indiana, and they only have about 30 or 35 employees. Very small company. And these are the kind of companies that I like supporting when I can. And I don't like giving companies a free pass just because they are based in the US. They still have to make a good product. And from the looks of it, this hydraulic tilt bucket is very heavily built. Very thick gauge steel, heavily gusseted. And the number one thing I notice is that it is dual cylinder. And that means that this bucket is rated to dig with. If you have, most tilt buckets are rated just to grade with, because they just have one cylinder on there, and if you start tilting the bucket one way and try to dig with it, that's going to put a lot of stress and tear on just one cylinder. But the fact that this has two, Mongo has assured me that I would be hard pressed to break this thing. So I can't say anything more about it now because we haven't tried it out yet, but I've got the perfect job for it. We need to get some ditches on this driveway. Let's try it out. All right, so the first thing I want to try to do is reclaim as much of this gravel that blew off the side of the driveway as I can. And so you can see right now, if this was just a fixed blade bucket or a fixed blade grading bucket, on the right side, I would be digging down into the topsoil. On the left side, I still have gravel I want to get. So with a click of a button, change my angle, and now I can get the rest of that gravel without bringing a whole lot of topsoil with me. That is where a tilt bucket shines. Really the reason I'm doing this, I'm not concerned as much about saving the gravel as I am, I don't want to have a whole bunch of gravel in the yard that I'm going to be mowing later, so I'm just doing this for the mower blades. so far I see a lot of similarities between running this and running a bulldozer, in that you're not making any big adjustments. You know, it's not like you're using all 90 degrees of swing on the tilt bucket. You're just making very fine little micro adjustments. You guys probably can't even see them on camera, but it's definitely a little bit of finesse. It's gonna take a little bit of muscle memory to get really good with this thing. Anyway, I think that is all of the gravel we need to pull back in. Let's go ahead and start getting our swale ditches. While we're tracking up here, I thought I'd show you the amount of travel this has. So that is your range of motion with this tilt bucket, which should be plenty for just about anything I would need to do with it. So I think we'll start right about here. This is where the wash ruts are the worst. And I think the key to this is you don't want to create a V ditch, right? You don't just want to go straight down and come right back up. You want to have a fairly flat bottom ditch on here so that the water can spread out and not carve and cut. And it doesn't need to be real deep either, just enough for the water to have some place to go. So here's another little trick that neighbor Doug taught me, and I don't claim to be an expert and neither does he, but as you're grading, don't take a full bucket. If you take 3/4 of a bucket, you can use the right edge of your bucket to keep grade with the part that you just cleared out, so you can keep everything even and not you know, be cutting real deep on one cut, real shallow on another. You can match the grade of your previous cut with your new cut. Just a little trick that I've been using over the last few years that I've had an excavator, and I thought if any of you guys out there are new operators, might help you out. So when they say this bucket is rated to dig, they aren't kidding. You can see I'm digging into some hard shale here, and that bucket is not giving an inch. You would think with a hydraulic bucket that if you get into something really hard, you could apply some back pressure and force it to you know, swing the opposite direction that you're applying the pressure to. And this is not doing that at all. It is staying true. When I want it to act like a fixed bucket and be sturdy and rigid, it does. And then when I want to change the angle, just as simple as that. And I'm not taking it easy either. I mean, I'm getting in here and digging like I would be if I had a tooth bucket on here. So I don't think I mentioned it yet, but the plan is once I get this all ditched out, I will bring the tractor with the hydraulic top and tilt kit in here and get all the stone that's on the driveway regraded. And then I would like to get another load or two of stone at some point. I don't know if that's in the budget right now. I don't know, I tell you what, the price of gravel is so regionalized. I hear stories from friends in different states and stuff. Like I know Kyle from Spicer Designs, he just bought some 2A limestone, and he said in his area it's only like 450, 500 bucks a load. Where we are, seems like everybody is between 700 and 900 bucks a load. And some people are even, you know, if they're just resellers of the stuff, they're more like $1,300 for a load of limestone. And I need, for my driveway, if I wanted to really put down 3, 4, 5 inches of new fresh stone, probably 3 or 4 loads. And that's just not in the budget right now. With I just had to do some hydraulic work to this excavator in order to get it to be able to run this tilt bucket. There was an expense, plus the rent of the roller to do the inside of the pond. So hopefully before winter we can get some new fresh stone on the driveway. But then, and maybe even more immediately than that, the plan for this ditch is I'd like to get some riprap in this ditch. Either that or some big softball size number 4 rock or something, just to prevent this ditch from eroding. I mean, there's good shale on the bottom of it. I don't think it would erode much. It would carve out any of the dirt that's in here and get down to that bare shale. But I'd like to dress it up and make it look nice and put in some, you know, kind of some river stone or some riprap or something. And then comes the problem of, well, what do you do for weeds? Because it's going to grow weeds. And I mean, you can't really put geomat down underneath the riprap because you need to press those stones into the dirt. You need to pack them in, and if you put geomat, you won't be able to really press them in to the ground much. It'll probably just be something that you come out here and spray once or twice a year, keep it under control, keep it looking nice. All right, so now we've got a big ditch on the right side of the driveway, and I've got it daylighting off of the driveway, following down into the field down there. And I'm not going to put a ditch on the left side of the driveway for 2 reasons. The first reason is that whenever the original installer of this driveway put this driveway in, they banked it a little bit going around this bend. And so that's part of the reason why I've been fighting with water crossing the driveways, because I've been trying to get rid of that bank that they put in and instead crown it to force the water to go down both sides. And what I've done with the box blade has not been enough to counteract the bank that was originally put in, so that's why the water is crossing the driveway. So that's the first reason why I'm not going to put a ditch on the left side. I'm just going to grade it and keep that bank grade on the driveway. That way all of the water will just sheet off to one side down to this single ditch. The second reason is our property line with my neighbor is right about the edge of the driveway. So if I can avoid doing this on his property, I'm going to. So I'm going to go throw the box blade on, start getting this dressed back up a little bit, and then see where we're at. Well, there we go, guys. Got the driveway all whipped back into shape. Got our nice swale ditch on the side. And I'll tell you what, if you guys are not running attachments that tilt on either your excavators or your tractors, you are missing out. Kind of reminds me of a story my dad used to tell me that I've heard probably a dozen times. My dad grew up poor, and he said when he was 17 years old, he used to play in tennis tournaments at the Y, and he had a $15 wooden racket. And he said that he used to play against a bunch of rich kids that had $100 graphite tennis rackets, and he used to whoop on them. And he said, it's not the racket, it's the player. And I gotta say, when it comes to running equipment, it's not necessarily the operator, it's the tool that you have and having the right tool for the job, because I know this looks a lot better having done it with tilting attachments like the Mongo tilt bucket or the hydraulic top and tilt kit on the LS tractor than if I had stationary or fixed buckets or fixed box blades, land planes, that kind of thing. This came out really, really nice. But anyway, so yeah, you can see that we have a nice big wide sweeping swale that is now actually off of the driveway. Before, our ditches were on the sides of the driveway. Now they're off to the side of the driveway. I've got a really nice water bar cut in here that will hopefully shoot all this excess water down that way. If any of it stays on the driveway, I have a second swale off to the side there. And then as you look up here, we now no longer have a crown on the driveway. I have put a bank on here. So hopefully all of the water will come off from this side to this side into the swale ditch and off. Again, I think it's still going to wash if you have, 2 inches in an hour or some big heavy rainstorms. But I think this should take care of 95% of the storms that used to wash it out. Now, even though I'm done for tonight, I am not done with this project in total. I still want to get some either number 4 rock or some riprap to line that swale ditch with to keep the water from cutting as it goes down through there. I mean, if it does cut it and, really ditches it out, it's not the end of the world. It's not on the driveway anymore. But as far as appearances and landscaping and stuff, it would look nice if that ditch had, some big softball-sized stone in it. Anyway, I think that's going to about wrap this one up. I want to give a huge thank you to Mongo Attachments for making a great bucket. If anybody's interested in a tilt bucket for your mini excavator, I will leave a link in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.